I should ask you that, but we're recording. But you know what? Today I'm going to remember, Nicole, I apologized before you got on because I completely forgot to put it into speaker view the other day when you were speaking.
What does
So,
that mean?
well, when you see the recording, it's like, no, it just looks like we're the Brady Bunch the whole time, which
Oh, that's
is
good. That's perfect.
for you, but it would have, because I think people can sometimes get lost. But anyway, thank you ladies for being here. Hopefully, because I had about 4 or 5 other people that had said they're going to be on. So hopefully they'll still click on. And we are so lucky, fortunate to have Lisa Hudson today with the Growth Coach. And she had a wonderful introduction that she sent to me. I don't know that I want to read the whole thing, but I mean, do you want me to read it? I can read it.
Don't have to. No, you
No.
can introduce however you want.
Okay, well, let me just say that Lisa, for about, what was it, about a year and a half, 2 years, you were part of our networking groups. And we were very fortunate because she came with a wealth of information and experience. And then I was there the day that you were actually in the Noblesville Chamber telling them about this wonderful opportunity. And I remember thinking, oh no, she's leaving. Oh my gosh. But it was, I know it has to have been, a little scary for you too, but I know you have a lot of your experience you can share. But she was a wonderful member of our one group, and she and I met, I don't know, a couple months, if not more. And she helped me with a lot of things that I was dealing with. And now every once in a while I'll say, Lisa, actually, I remember talking to Lisa about that. And she got this opportunity to make this very big move, I think, right? And then she did it. And I reached out to her when we were scheduling speakers, and I said, could you do this? And she didn't even hesitate. So pretty excited. So here she is, and I'm going to change it over to speaker view so you can all see her lovely face. There she is. So thank you, Lisa, very much for being here today. We do record it and then I post it in the group. So even if somebody's not here today, although like I said, I'm going to keep my eyes open because I bet people will be jumping on. But thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me. As Jennifer said, I've had a lot of change in the past few months. But one of the things that we were talking about really is that pain sometimes forces you as a human being and as a business owner to grow. And sometimes we know we need to, and then something gives us that shove. And so just to give you a little bit of background about where I come from, and I worked for Macy's department stores for 26 years. I started there right outside of college, worked my way up, ran 17 different stores. I love change, so that was fun to keep going into stores and meeting new people. And I had a really great career that I absolutely loved. And then I had my life get a little bit rocked. My dad got into a car accident. It was a motorcycle accident, and he was in a trauma unit in Florida for about 4 months. During that time frame, my ex-husband, the father of my 3 children, who were at that time a freshman in college, a junior in high school, and a 12-year-old little boy, their father passed away of cancer 2 weeks after my dad got into the accident. And then, and it was all the first week of December. So I don't need to tell you that that was a very busy time in the retail stores. And then in the second week of January, my assistant store manager had a heart attack on my dock. She's still living today, but that was really stressful. And 2 weeks later, my other assistant store manager passed away at age 42. And I really kept saying, sometimes as you think about life, God opens all kinds of doors for you. And I always used to say, I'm so busy running by them, I don't notice them. Well, so apparently it took like a bat to hit me over the head to say, okay, what are you doing? And are you doing your purpose? And are you balancing your life the way that you want? And while you love what you do, your children now only have one parent, and, working 75 hours a week is probably not in their best interest. And so that pain kind of made me step back and say, okay, if after 26 years of in the same company, when everyone knows you, I was on all sorts of boards and as an expert, and everybody knew who I was when I walked in a room. I decided to take a leap of faith and do something that would give me a little bit more balance and become an entrepreneur. I knew I loved coaching. Macy's was a coaching environment, so we were all about developing and finding strengths and helping people overcome. It was a lot more fun to do that than fitting rooms, so I always chose the coaching part. And so I looked to find a franchise, which is the Growth Coach. And I started out my Growth Coach business in Noblesville, Fishers, and Carmel. And it was quite a different step because I went from having a team surrounding me to just me, owning my own business, going into community where I didn't really know anyone because I was at Macy's, 75 hours a week, right? And so it was very humbling to me. I was super excited, but it was super humbling to me to go into a room and no one knew who I was and they didn't really care what I'd done. And that was it really made me reflect, that I knew how to sell, but I didn't know how to sell myself. So that was a whole new ball game. And just a funny story, since some of you guys know Cheryl Smith, my very first chamber meeting, I got there 15 minutes early because in the corporate world, that's what you do. So I was the only one there. I was there before the chamber people, Bob and Mary were there. And I was just kind of standing around and I had on a houndstooth skirt, which is a stupid thing to tell you, but Cheryl Smith walked in and walked over to me, and we have been the best of friends ever since. And she was I always tell people, my coaches now, go to a chamber meeting, you might meet a great client, prospect, networking partner, or your new best friend. You don't really know. And oddly enough, I was with her yesterday and she said, I just thank God for that houndstooth skirt, which is funny because you can remember it all those years ago. And so I really it was almost being new in your career to be a business owner and to really kind of push yourself through that. And then I was, working with my children to make sure they were adapting and the worry that you have when they lose a parent. And really tried to find my footing, and that pain caused me to just continue to push through. And then I had the Growth Coach there for about 4 years. And my oldest he was getting ready to graduate, and people would ask me all the time, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because I haven't remarried. And I would say, I don't know, God will find something for me to do. I don't know, as an empty nester. Well, I got a phone call and it was the president of the Growth Coach. And he said, hey, do you have a second? And I said, yeah, I'm on my way to meet some clients. And he said, can I ask you a question? I go, well, don't make me wreck. And he said, well, I go, oh my gosh, you're leaving. And he goes, that's not what will make you wreck. And it was, I know you're an empty nester. What would you think about moving to Cincinnati and run the entire organization? So I moved to Cincinnati as an empty nester. And I now am responsible for the 100 coaches that we have nationally and international. And what's even great is I'm helping other people help other people, which is a lot of fun. And the one thing that's not been the most fun is that when you move to a new city and you know no one and your kids are gone and you can do whatever you want, then COVID hits and you are watching Netflix with your dogs. So that has been, kind of a disappointment because I really wanted to get ingrained in the community, but I have great people here that I work with. But through my life, I feel like, and it happens now with business owners, when we get it out of our comfort zone, that's when we win. But it's so hard to get out of that comfort zone. And I think if I think about when I had the hardest time with the comfort zone, it was, again, leaving my corporate job and doing something different, where it was, meeting great people, but really, and becoming great friends with them, but then also needing to drive your business at the same time. And so I thought I would take you guys through. I know that you guys have spent a lot of time about fear, and we talk about fear a lot, and we really talk about, their false expectations appearing real. Most of the time, the fear is just in our head, but it's very real. Very, very real. And I do coaching sessions by Zoom now. And today I said to my coach, your number one thing is you've got to get out of your head, because the only negativity in this whole process just is living right here. It's not reality, but you have thought about it so much that it's become your reality. So I don't know, Jennifer, can I share the screen? Am I able to do that?
I'll do that. I'll let you do that. Yeah, I kind of forgot that, but you should be able to now.
Okay, let's see here. All right. Can you guys see the smart ways to get out of your comfort zone?
Now we can. I can.
So there's those mountains that Angie just left, it looks like. So the comfort zone is really where we all like to live, right? It's safe, it's warm, it's cozy. And the one thing that I have to say about COVID is that it has taught people their resilience, their grit, they're learning something new. It like didn't just take a step out of comfort zone, it like pushed us off the mountain. And we've all had to kind of adapt it and to figure that out. And this slide I really love, which is really talking about how do you take your comfort zone and overcome it to find your success. And this, again, can be on a personal level, business level, how you help other people through it. But I find it very interesting. And so as we go through it, if you have questions, of course, reach out an example of when that's happened to you. One that I find so interesting is the first one is the laziness. And of course, none of us want to be lazy. We don't think we're lazy, but that's the quality of being unwilling to work or use your energy or your idleness. And for a lot of employees across the country, people have kind of been surprised by the fact that there is a little bit of idleness now we don't know what to do with, right? We're now we can't go out and keep ourselves so busy that now we're having to relate to people that we live with. And my sister just got quarantined and she said to me, she said, when no one's coming over and you're not going anywhere, you don't really care. Like it's just not the same feeling or drive. And she's highly driven. So that's one thing that can sometimes get in your way of your personal goals. Procrastination is just simply fear. And it's the avoidance of doing a task that needs to be accomplished, the practice of doing more pleasurable things in place of a less pleasurable one, or carrying out less urgent tasks instead of more urgent ones, thus taking longer to do. But the real thing behind procrastination is the fear of being perfect. And so we build it up in our head and we think about how it's going to be, and we ruminate and think about it over and over and over, instead of going into it saying, I'm going to learn along the way. It's not going to be perfect, but there's nothing that can't be fixed. In retail, people would get so intense and we'd have these big corporate visits, and people would lose their mind if the red sweater wasn't next to the green one, but it was by the blue one. And I used to say to my team, I'd do like a little pep rally with them and say, these people are coming in to help us and they have to have a purpose. If they come in and everything's perfect, they don't have a purpose and they really like their jobs. So just know that some things are going to come at you, but it's all opinions. And, we work in retail, so no one's dying. This is just, we'll move the sweater. And so helping them to not get so wrapped up in it being perfect, but it being right and it fitting the moment. And again, I would say that COVID's taught us that, that you have to jump in, and it may not be perfect because we're all trying something new, whether it's using Zoom or a different presentation or starting a new part of our business we've never even thought of before, but it might work. And so as I go through those, does anyone have any thoughts on the laziness or procrastination of trying to get out of your comfort zone? Anything come to mind?
I just think they're kind of all just fear. Isn't that what you're saying? I mean, I'm lazy, I'm not going to do that today. It's easier to or procrastination. I mean, it's always, I'll get it. I'll do it tomorrow when I can do it better, when I'm feeling better, when I'm,
Right.
But it's fear, I think. I think it's all fear, so.
It is.
Okay.
And then lack of time to be able to do it perfectly, right? So all these fears get in our way and we don't want to start it because we won't be able to finish it or something will happen. And so again, they're all the voices in our head. And again, the bigger thing behind it is that there's a fear that we have to step out of our comfort zone several steps to get to success. If you look at that, that's just not one big step, that's several little steps. And so we just kind of stay where it's safe, and we might do the same things with our business over and over, even though we know we might need to look at it until the pain gets enough that we have to step out of our comfort zone. So imagine what your business can be like if you kind of force yourself, either with an accountability partner or just yourself, pushing yourself when you don't want to. Do you guys am I the only one that has those conversations in my head?
No, I have a lot of those. Not surprising, right?
Right. Where I know I need to do something and then fear will get involved and then I'm all of a sudden coaching myself because I know mentally that I need to move, but there's something that is keeping me not moving. And so I'm kind of having this tug, this pull back and forth.
Yeah.
Nicole, you're nodding. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're right. Cause like I do like, social media, and for TTR networking and, you want it to just be right, so you might be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm thinking about this. Let me go do this real quick and come back. And then I'll be re-energized. So, yes, I definitely, can relate to that.
Yeah.
We naturally will tweak things, right? But it's sometimes the lack of time scares you though. If you put it out there and you think, what if I don't have time to go back? Right. But those are those fears again that get into our head. And then we have all the obstacles that keep us, the what ifs. I have a daughter that ever since she's been super little and now she's 24, everything's always a what if, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? And I'm like, well, we don't know if it's going to happen. So you just need to move forward and then we'll figure it out. Those what ifs in our heads can be the fears that hold us back as well. Postponement, the action or fact of putting something off until a later time.
Mhm. Yeah.
The lack of motivation. And then the biggest one, again, is your limiting beliefs. And those are really what we believe about yourself that places limitations on your abilities.
Okay.
And I don't know, a lot of people had this around Zoom, and say about March when not everyone was doing Zoom. And then it became the only way to network and the only way to do one-on-ones with clients. And I still see a lot of people that are still in that limiting belief. No one wants to talk via Zoom. Everyone's all Zoomed out. But you know what? We never said, hey, I'm all networked out. I don't want to talk to people today. We might have in late into the afternoon, but never for Jennifer's groups, right? So it's
Never.
really no different, but yeah, we have those limiting beliefs. And we saw this a lot with the restaurant when restaurants were closing and they'd never done pickup or delivery curbside. And they were like, well, no one's going to do that. Well, what did we all do for several months? We did curbside and we did delivery. And there were many restaurants that had those limiting beliefs, and those were the ones that really were hurt and were shut down, is because there was a revenue stream that they've never had before. And it did mean pivoting, especially with their servers had to become different folks doing different things. But those that pivoted really are far much better than the ones that refused to do that.
Good point.
As you think about your limiting beliefs when it comes to driving your business or the fears that you might have, and when it comes to sales, that seems to be one where we don't want to be too pushy. We don't want to make people uncomfortable. We think they might be ghosting us because they haven't responded in a week. I always say that's a limiting belief with my coaches, that I don't know about you, but I get busy. And sometimes I want to answer, but I'm thinking of the response. And then things happen and it gets way down in my mail. And I certainly don't mind if you said, hey, I'm popping this up to the top of your mail. Actually, I had someone do that to me today and I responded immediately because I knew it was the second time and I'd forgotten about it. But I wasn't offended. I was still going to not buy their product, but I'm going to be very nice to them. And I may buy their product when the time is correct. But we do get those limiting beliefs that, people, they've already tried to contact them 3 times, right? When the average client doesn't buy until 9 to 12 touches.
Lisa, before I got so busy, I used to think, oh, people they're just being mean. It sounds terrible because I got people on here that are in my groups, but I used to think, oh, they just don't want to respond. And now that I'm so busy, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't respond to that email. I mean, it was important at the time that I had 10, people wanting my attention at that minute. I'm not that popular. It just seems like things come in at one time. And that's one of my things. I want to give people the attention that they, even if it takes me a long time, I want to make sure I'm giving that. So the limiting beliefs, I think mine have changed a little bit. Now I really truly know that we're all busy. I think the other day though, Lisa, you said something about the limiting beliefs. I think we were talking about fear the other day, and somebody said that people just thinking you're not good enough in general. It was kind of one of the comments. We were talking about fears that keep you from doing what you need to do right now for your business or to build relationships, because that's really, and that was kind of, I know that's a very common one, but it always makes me kind of sad because I think we all have been there. And I guess, I mean, I have.
I think sales are really servicing the person in front of you and showing what value you can bring. And if you, in your limiting beliefs, don't really understand your value,
Right.
it's very hard to convince someone else of your value. And so, one of the exercises that we do is, if you don't want to be in sales, and sales can be hard, right? Especially right now, because
Yeah.
incomes are limited. But the service or the solution that you can provide is really most important, right? And so you
Right.
have to get to their why, and listen, and then figure out, number one, is what you have of value to that person. Maybe they're just a referral partner, or maybe they have that value. And then really, standing your ground and knowing what the value is, and not backing down or lowering your prices, or asking in a way that's, if you want to, you could, but you don't have to. Like, that's not, I always, I have a good analogy that our founder actually said to me when I purchased the Growth Coach. And he said, Lisa, we look for people that have such a heart to want to help others. And if you walked into a room and someone had their arm cut and it was just about ready to fall off, you would not wait to talk to them. You would rush over to them, you would help them, and you would say, I'm going to call an ambulance. And they're going to go, no, I think I'm okay. And you're not going to go, okay, well, thanks, let me know if you need anything. We're going to go, no, like, we're going to help you. And we're not even asking, and we're digging in, and we have an urgency and a passion. But often when people's arms are falling off based on what they need and what they're telling you they need, and we provide it, we sometimes will go, well, here it is. And if you need me, I'll be over here. Let me know. But it's just as dramatic for them of the solution that you might be providing. And if we go at it with that same passion, people will believe, and they'll lean into you because they want the service that you provide, and they desperately need the service you provide. And when you look at it in those two different ways, and if you think just about a sales call that you might have had in the last couple of weeks, were you the person with the arm, or were you the person with just let me know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point.
Let's talk a little bit about that value. How do you determine your value? Is it through competition? Is it through what you think it might be? Is it what people have paid you in the past? How do you decide the value that you provide for a client?
That's a good question.
I guess in some ways, since I make my own products, I will often figure out like how much it costs me to make it, and then from there, how much would if I was trying to make like a profit from it, and then just other things I've learned from other people who have, made their product, and how they base the price off of that, so that you actually can make a profit and that you're not just breaking even. I do find when offering a service, because I do other work that is more like providing a service, I have asked around a bit about like, well, how much do you charge for 20 minutes? Or how much do you feel that you do this or that? I know that when I was first starting out, I felt like because I didn't have like a lot of experience, my prices were less than they are now, because I've gained a lot, I've learned a lot, and I feel like I'm more of an expert in certain areas, and therefore they're a little bit pricier, more than they were. But I can still say that it is hard at times, because I have to decide if I believe that it was good work. Like, did I feel like I connected well? Did I feel like I gave good information? And I have, though, there have been times where the connection was not great, or the pet wasn't, you know, real receptive, and then I just haven't charged for it because I didn't feel like it was good work. So I do think it's hard to decide, though, what is your time worth? People always ask me, what do you think your time is worth? And I never know.
It's very true. I love what you said, because another limiting belief that often happens with the coaches that I work with is they will say, I feel like I'm not giving enough. Like they almost feel guilty that they've decided their value, whatever dollar per hour they're using. But then sometimes our services, because it's what we do and we do it all day, we think maybe it's not enough. We should give more. And so one of the things that I have always done is really to say, was today valuable to you? And what were your takeaways? Because I've always, Jennifer used to say this to me, which was very sweet. She'd always go, when we talk, this just helps me so much. Like when I spend time with you, it always helps me move in a direction. And I quite frankly didn't always feel like I probably did enough for Jennifer, right? In my head. But as long as she was feeling like it was helping her, she didn't need me to dump a ton of information on her. She needed me to help talk her through a solution to a challenge that she had. And it was kind of like taking the splinter out of the lion, because then she could move forward. And that's, when you think about that, Catherine, what is it that you do? Did you say pets?
Yes, I do. I make baths and teas and spritzers, and then I also am an animal communicator. I help bridge the gap between human and animal, and I help basically the pet to talk to their human and vice versa. So I help with like behavior issues. I help with health and wellness. I've helped locate pets before. And I also do energy work, like Reiki, alternative therapies, energy work. And I'm also a medium.
Oh, very cool. So I need to see you because I have 2 unruly Morkies.
I'd love to talk to them.
And so there would be great value in that.
There you go, right?
They were not so unruly. So
yes, it's learning to speak their language. But I have struggled with that, like finding, like before, I guess it was trying to figure out, should I go by per pet? Should I go by per minute? Should I go by a group? Should I go by 30 minutes? Should I go by 45 minutes? Should I go by an hour? What should I do? What's right?
Sure.
And I still do find myself, even if the person has signed up for, I have a 30-minute and a 45-minute, and then have found that if, say, they sign up for 30 minutes and then they go over minutes, then I just have like $1 per minute after that. Okay. But I struggle with, if I have an hour session, say they have more pets or it's a more in-depth thing, then it seems like the higher up and I get in numbers, then I'm like, oh God, is that going to be too much? Because, like when you think about a pet and they go to the vet, right? And every time you go to the vet, you think this should be a simple procedure. It should not cost this much to trim their toenails, right? I don't want to be one more expense to them, right? I understand that I am rare because of what it is that I do and the insights that I have. However, I don't want it to be not fair.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
That's your fear, right? Is that you don't want it to not be fair for them. But I would tell you that people love their pets, and it makes more sense to have them to be able to communicate, because they're our loved ones, even more now that we've all been with them so much, that may be more valuable than the toe. I might rather pay for that than I would, the toes. So
right.
Into their mind. And I think with pricing, it's always hard because you're always going to have that one person that's going to say to you, oh my gosh, like, no, I can't do that. And
right.
it throws us off. All these other people can say, yes, that's great, but that one person like sticks in our head and causes that limiting belief. But again, it's really, what are you providing for them? So you're providing communication that they can't normally have. You're providing health and wellness so that they'll live longer. You're providing, we won't lose them. They won't be in danger. It's the same thing with our children. Like, you'd pay any amount of money so they wouldn't run out in the street in front of a car. It's the same.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So if you guys can think in terms of really what are the solutions that you provide, what are the pain points you help people overcome, what fears do you help people overcome, that should help you kind of determine your value and feel better about it. Because, you know, we're not for everyone. I said to a coach today, if you had 10 people you talked to, how many would you expect to buy? And she's like, I don't know. And I said, would you say 100%? She goes, never. And I'm like, so you already know you're going to hear no every once in a while because it's just not the right time. It's not always no because it's cost. It could be their fear. We haven't gotten to their fear to figure out how to speak to them. And so fear makes the world go round. And usually I'm not so sure when people want to tell you absolutely not, they will tell you absolutely not. But sometimes more questions are just, I have a fear and I want to tell you I have a fear, but I'm just going to ask you questions until I can feel better.
Okay, Lisa?
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just had a question, which was when you're listening, talking about how finding out the other person's fear, and what they're dealing with, how, I guess, would you not push them out of their comfort zone in some ways, but like, okay, so like I have a product, right? We're going to use that as an example. I have a product and I have one product that sells really well, and I have one product that doesn't sell at all. And so then it's like, okay, well, so why doesn't it sell? Well, I don't really know why it doesn't sell, other than it would be that people would have to take time out of their day in order to do it. So
Okay.
so like I make these baths, okay, and I've tried every which way to figure out how to sell them so that like it's a really good thing. Like it has, you know, aromatherapy in it, and it's all natural and it's organic, and you can use it as a loofah, and you could use it as a foot bath, and you could use it in the bath. So I mean,
Right.
it's just not something that apparently people want to do. So I have toyed with, does that mean that I need to give up on that avenue and just go with the tea and the spritzer, even though I really love these? Or is it that I just need to leave it out there and the right person will find it, and then I just put my focus over here and not get stuck in my head that, oh my God, this is a horrible product and everyone hates it?
Sure. I would tell you that my suggestion would be to look at the obstacles, like what, you know, whether is, I mean, most people aren't afraid of baths, so that's not the fear, but the fear might be the time that it takes, you
Yeah.
know, that may be the fear of, you know, I feel like I don't have time for myself. Like it could be some of those things. And once you can get out some of the obstacles, then you know how to market it a little bit differently. So
Okay, that makes sense.
you've added value, you have value for you in baths, but you know, I don't know what the statistics are of who takes a bath and who takes a shower, but they're probably out there. But again, it could be some fears, and you know, that's what the great thing is, to just ask people. One of the things I'm fascinated about in what I do, because I also sell franchises, is that when people are talking to me, I will say, so what are, you know, what makes you scared, or what's your fear of becoming a business owner? And at first I thought people would kind of go, well, I'm not afraid or whatever, but they like immediately blurt it out. It's like on the tip of their tongue, and they're waiting for me to ask them what their fear is because they so badly want to tell me, but they won't do it unless I ask. And so, you know, getting feedback from folks and finding out, I mean, it may sound weird to say, you know, what would your fear be in buying, you know, one of these, but people will tell you, oh, I wish I could, I just don't have time. Or I wish I could, you know, I am too busy taking care of the kids at night, you know, and so then you can help them find a solution of how to overcome that.
That's great. I appreciate that insight. Thank you for your perspective.
Lisa, I think you said it kind of, the Larry Levine, who we was selling from the heart dude, but he's always talking, and you said it, but I know that with Catherine, she's maybe kind of new, and somebody starting a brand new business, you don't have always, he talks about the idea of asking the clients that you're already working with. Some people don't want to do that. That's the fear, you know. I mean, and when you were asking, how do you determine your value? I think if somebody had asked me that question, well, I'm still struggling with it because I don't know that we charge enough, or I don't know that, because for what the people do that are involved, which it's not just me, but there's a lot, I think there's a value to what we do. But but asking people, I probably am a lot more gutsy about asking them now because I feel like we've proven ourselves 10 years later. But when you're starting out a new business, I would think that could be difficult because you might not have any clients. So I was thinking about Catherine when she was saying that, and I was like, well, if she doesn't have, if nobody's buying that product, but if there is somebody buying that product, then maybe you can, like you said, maybe a different marketing approach or something. But I still have hard time with my value, but that's what Larry says. You should be asking your current clients, and people are afraid of that because they don't necessarily want to know. I mean, I sold insurance. I was happy to, get somebody to sign on the dotted line. Now I took care of them, but a lot of times I didn't want to know if they were getting, the right, because I was limited to what I could do. So they would have to call, the main customer service or something. And then I was, kind of at the mercy of however they were treated that way. But asking your clients is kind of scary, right? But it's also if you've got
asking someone's opinion, right? And so
right.
people want to share it. And what I love about small business is there's such a connection. I call it the spider web, where you know no one, and there's the one string, and overnight everyone's connected and everyone's trying to help everyone. So even giving it to some folks, with and it's funny, Susan Sparks, hello. She put on here, people only buy two things: good feelings and a solution to a problem. And she's right. So the solution might be, I might say to you, I just wish I had time to take a bath, I have these kids and blah blah blah. Your question to her might be, well, what do you do for yourself?
Oh,
What
that's
time do you take for yourself, right? And giving her the okay that whether it's this or whether it's something else, as a person that cares about other people, you should, and it's healthy for you to at least have an hour sometime in your week where you can, provide some quiet time and regenerate and be ready to go. And so then again, you're appealing to the emotional side of buying. And that's usually, most of us buy from the emotional side, and we buy from people that we like, and we buy from people that we trust, that know us, and know us by building that relationship. And again, she may need someone to give her permission to have an hour to herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know at one point in my life, I probably would have needed somebody to tell me that it was okay, that it was okay too.
Yeah.
So, but that's really great, because I struggle with what to say. Like, I don't feel like I always know what to say, like, especially when we had more opportunities to do like the booths, or like the craft fairs or the new age fairs or whatever. People will come up to your booth, and sometimes I would feel like a zoo exhibit, and it was like, push the on button, and then it's like you have to spew out all this information to catch their attention long enough to get them to stay there, and then they still walk away. And I'm always left with, well, what did okay. Somebody always says you got to get out of your own way, right? And I often would hear things like, oh, your products, we love the names of them, those are so funny, or, oh gosh, the crazy red-haired lady, that's hilarious, this or that, and then people would be like, then like, you get advice from somebody else that would say, well, you just have to play off of that, or like, try to engage in that. But and that doesn't ever seem to really work very well. But I like your perspective of asking the person, where did they take time for themselves? Because that was the point of my bath originally, which was to help basically tired, worn out mommies, so that's good verbiage. I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Or who do you love that deserves, to have an hour of relaxation for gift giving, right?
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of ways to, again, tie that back to the need or the solution. And then it doesn't feel like selling, right? It doesn't make you uncomfortable. No. It feels like I can already tell because it comes through the screen. You care about people, you care about their well-being. And so that's what you're selling, not really your products. It's cool, your products have great names. And that's the fun part. But again, it's you want to help people. And so that's what you've created, is for people to have a quality of life.
Yes, thank you. But I just didn't quite ever know how to convey that. So that's super helpful.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have any questions they want to throw out?
No, I was going to say, that's why she's the president of the growth coach.
That's right. That's why you're the professional,
Aren't we glad she came to visit us? No, I
Yes.
think that's great information right there. Yes, very much. Yeah.
I think no matter what your business is, and again, when I go back to small business owners, we all care about one another. And if you always put the client or the potential clients in as your client, and you're just really trying to serve them, you're always going to try to help find solutions to the things that are in their way. And then it just makes it more of servicing versus selling. And that's when you can really kind of gain enough confidence that, again, not everyone's going to buy from you. So a no is not the kiss of death. A no is a not right now. A no is we're not a good fit. And you don't want someone using your product that doesn't like it anyway, right? That doesn't help you. So you want to identify that you're helping people. One of the best things about being an entrepreneur is that you get to decide who you're going to work with. In retail, I didn't get to do that for a long time, right? And so now you can decide this is the right fit for them. And there's something about even having the guts to say, I'm not sure this is exactly what you're looking for. Let me see if I can kind of help you figure out what that might be. People will lean in and go, well, why isn't it for me? And then that just means it helps the dialogue so that, again, you can find the solution for them. So Nicole asked, what is the growth coach? Is it training for someone to become a growth coach? So the growth coach is a franchise organization. And so we have different coaches that purchase territories and then work in them. So I had Indianapolis. I sold it to a gentleman named Bob Payton. And then, so Bob has his coaching business there, and we do everything from, we do a lot of mindset coaching because oftentimes it's those fears, it's that getting stuck and you don't know how to move forward. We have sales training, which is similar to what Catherine and I were just doing, and really thinking about who is the person sitting across from you, what's important to them, what's their why, what are their purchasing patterns, so that you can decide if they're a good fit. And Cheryl Smith is actually joining Bob, and she will be starting to do some free workshops, some business workshops, some mastermind groups. And so I am sure that Jennifer will probably be able to help you if you're interested in connecting with Cheryl. But what we do is really try to help you with your strengths. We are big in using DISC. We want you to, I always say God gave you talents, and not using them is like throwing the sweater that your grandma got you in the corner. It doesn't go over well, right? So you really want to be able to take things out of your way and leverage what you're good at. Because when you're good at it, it's natural, it's fun. You can move the results faster. When we try to force ourselves to do things we're not good at, that's never good. And that's why a lot of people say, well, I'm not good at selling. Well, you may not be good at selling, and you may hate the word sales, but are you good at servicing and caring about others? Because that's really what you're doing when you're driving your business as an entrepreneur.
Cool. You did, and I don't know, it doesn't really fit in this moment, but you said when you made the change, and maybe you said this, but it was I think I was sharing it with somebody the other day. I said, when you were in front of the 80 people at Macy's, or what your employee, no, you had a couple hundred, didn't you?
Yeah, like 400 at Castleton. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were at the Castleton store, but you said it was a really big change to go from being very credible and everybody knew who you were to being an independent business owner and having to create that all over again.
Absolutely. It was funny. I had in my BNI group, I remember it was one of my first conversations, and I had over 400 people. I had 26 executives. They all ran businesses that were 5 to 10 million, and they all reported to me. And I remember him saying to me, well, you worked in retail, so what would you even know about running a business?
Oh.
Oh, I had not expected that. So it kind of threw me, because then to me, it just made perfect sense. I'm like, I ran a $70 million store. So of course I have that business background, but again, I wasn't being relatable to what he was doing. And after I kind of felt punched in the face, I remember saying back to him, well, what are some of your fears, and what are some of the things that get in your way of driving your business? And then we started talking and I earned my credibility. But, you have to know that people want to be about them and not about you. And so it really didn't matter that I ran that big of a store. What really mattered is, could I provide solutions for the person sitting in front of me? And that was just a different thought process, because I had instant credibility before, but now I had to earn it. So it was humbling. And at the same time, it just boiled down to really having heart to help others.
Yeah. That's kind of nice to hear. It's kind of like, I guess we all go through that. Even somebody who ran a $70 million store, whatever you said it was.
Yeah, I have fears and they still get in my way. It's funny. I am doing a virtual series with my coaches on a program called Sales Mastery. And they weren't really using the product because they were nervous. Would it work virtually? And I'm like, all right, well, I'll do it. And then I started to get so nervous because I've never done it virtually either. So I was preparing and I was nervous. And at the end, they're all like, oh my God, this is great. This is better than we anticipated. It's actually better than it is in person. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad to have you guys know that, because I was like sweating bullets. I couldn't sleep last night. And they're all like, you couldn't sleep? Like, that's ridiculous. But everybody has that fear, and I had to push myself through the comfort zone, mainly so I could grab the hands of all of them and pull them with me through the comfort zone so that they could go out and help their communities too.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
That's the one thing I'd leave you with is, just when you're scared and in a comfort zone, the person sitting across from you has their own comfort zone that they would appreciate someone grabbing their hand and helping them. And so sometimes they're just as scared as we are. And so it's okay to ask people what gets in your way. I can tell that you have a lot of anxiety or fear around that. What can I help you with? Or, those are the things, again, that's where the heart's jumping out. And if you think about all big decisions that you've made in your life, the heart jumped first and your body followed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of what servicing or selling is you have your heart jump out because you so want to help that person. And if that's what you lead with, it will never come across trite, pushy, arrogant. It's that you really want to help the person sitting across from you.
Yay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great.
So I'm going to do what I normally do, Jennifer. Are there any takeaways, and was the last hour worth your time?
I knew when I asked you to speak, I said, I know she's going to bring something very good. So thank you. That was very good. Very perfect. So,
well, thank you for having me. It's so nice to meet some new folks that I've heard about, and then also see some friends from the past.
Yeah, thank you. Can we see everybody here just so I can see them again and say goodbye? And
share.
I'm sorry?
I was going to unshare the screen so that you can.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay. Because I know there's, they're there. Okay. So anybody got anything you want to share with her? She's awesome. She is not, you are working with franchisees. You're not a coach anymore.
Correct.
But we do have the growth coach here in Carmel. He's located in Carmel, right? So, and we know Cheryl Smith because she's in our group. So I know is not jumping. She's been very excited about staying around. So I can't see.
Hey, Lisa.
Huh?
This is a little off topic, but Pat and I both grew up in Cincinnati. Where did you buy a place?
So I actually am renting because I haven't figured that out yet. I thought once I got here, I'd have a social life, but with COVID, I haven't. So I live in Mainville right now.
Oh my gosh. Our first apartment when we got married is in Mainville. It's right next to Kings Island.
Yes. Yep. Super.
Is that the apartment complex? Oh my gosh. Small world.
This would be funny.
This was 25 years ago. Pat and I lived there for about 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yes. It's about 10 minutes from work. And then my kids will come see me because Kings Island's right there. So that worked out nicely.
Yeah. There's no motivation there besides seeing you, though. I'm sure they don't. Although, who knows? Well, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. I'm sorry. Did anybody have something? As you know, I did record this, so we're going to put it out there. And Lisa, thank you so much for the I just like, wow, yeah, she spoke right to us. Thank you very much. Exactly what we needed to hear. And those that didn't make it to the call, I feel kind of, but we do put it out on the in the group. So it will be there. And the song that I played at the beginning will be there. We may have to kind of explain it to those who were not here, because it was called I Wish You Pain, which is really nice, isn't it? But it is what it is. So thank you, Lisa. You're awesome. We love you.
So much. Best of luck to everyone, and I'll let you know when I'm in town.
Yes, well, please do. And
Donna, but you never know. I might end up there too.
well, we'd love to see you. But Donna, thank you everybody for being on. And I'm just going to cut the record and see you all on Monday, because we really do have a really good one on Monday too. I don't know. This was pretty awesome though, Lisa. Thank you very much. You're awesome. Thank you.